Banned from God. אם ננעלו דלתי נדיבים, דלתי מרום לא ננעלו. Even if the gates of men are closed, the gates of heaven will never be closed. צעקת הדל. Dear Dutch Jewry, CC World Jewry, BCC God. A few weeks ago, the Orthodox Synagogue of the Hague banned me for 2 years. This was followed by a ban from the Liberal Shul of the Hague due to slander. Such an irresponsible and impulsive decision by a few decision makers can cause complications towards my getting married and buried in the Netherlands, as I have heard from my Jewish lawyer that there is talk to extradite me completely from all Dutch Jewry altogether, amazingly enough from both the Liberal and the Orthodox streams. I have to say that it is nice to see them work together. If this would be the case, I wish to reserve my burial ground to be placed by the side of Baruch Spinoza, who was also excommunicated by the Dutch Jewry, just outside of a church next to my present home. There is a common joke that tells of a person left stranded from a shipwreck on a deserted island. When he was found, his rescuers discovered that he had built a house and 2 synagogues. When asked why he had built those 2 synagogues, he answered, "That is one that I go to, and in that one I will never go to." As Holland is a country that is destined in the future to find itself under the sea due to global warming, and all that's left of it will be a few distant islands, I'd say that the few perplexed Jews left stranded would build 3 synagogues, bearing a clause of not entering 2 of them. I don't expect you to revoke your decision, as you've quite clearly noted in your formal letter that your decision is irrevocable, a definitive ban for 2 years, not even for a single year, perhaps thus placing yourselves above the Almighty, who himself does account for our acts annually, as our tradition teaches us how spiritual accounting works. Hypothetically speaking, if my actions were deliberate, with the power of proper teshuvah, God would consider them to be inadvertent, and they would become, not considered, unintentional. Something that your definitive statement contradicts. As how I see it, your present decree places yourselves on a higher level than God as judge, jury, and executioner, without even hearing my plea. Perhaps as we learn that at times God stiffens the hearts of people, just as he had done with the heart of Pharaoh, so ein chadash tachat hashemesh, nothing new under the sun. Kohelet chapter 1 verse 9. And tov lachsot b'Hashem mibtoach b'nidvim. It is better to take refuge in Hashem than to trust in man. Psalms chapter 118 verse 8. Just a week prior to the ban, I hosted devout Christians and Muslims for a Kiddush at my table and reviewed Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai's Pirkei Avot 2:13 regarding what is a good path to which a person should cling. The conclusion is a good heart, as it is all-inclusive of being a good friend, a good neighbor, and one who considers the outcome of a deed. I wish to show Christians and Muslims what a good heart means and is. How can we live with and amongst other nations if we can't ourselves get along? A healthy body would feel more comfortable with itself and others than and whereas a sick body would not. Unfortunately, instead of lending a hand, offering refuge and supporting a cast-off Jew, the Liberal Shul of the Hague, in a historical teaming up of force, which is good news I suppose, joined the Orthodox community here in banning me. And this is with those who don't recognize them as being Jewish, lest enter their shuls. But this might not be nothing new for Dutch Jewry, as I've heard at first hand from a Jewish Holocaust survivor how the Dutch Jews greeted and treated the Polish Jewish immigrants with division. Unfortunately, a repercussion of this apartheid, may be a characteristic adopted by the Dutch, as this is the only prevalent and commonly used Dutch word in the English vocabulary, has been extended to Jewish old age homes, where one can still feel inadequate. I have to note that not a single Dutch rabbi has initiated a call or contacted me regarding this excommunication. I even publicly and personally invited the chief rabbi to my sukkah on the national radio. The good news is, Aseh lecha rav, make a teacher for yourself, Pirkei Avot 1:6, which basically means one should make for himself a teacher or rabbi and not take everything for granted, such as one would do with an all-knowing lecturer in a university. We have posed questions to rabbis for generations, and the Talmud is packed with opposing queries and opinions by various individuals and rabbis. Would you, the Dutch Jewish community, not be open for criticism or dialogue and extradite those who just don't suit your opinion and perspective as well? Just as a few years ago, during an Arachim Values Weekend in Holland, we were indoctrinated for 3 days and not allowed to pose any questions in public, and only on the last day were we given 30 minutes to pose questions in a public forum. And then I was somehow fortunate enough to speak some Musar, morals and ethics, for a mere 30 seconds, only to be forced to sit down by the same member of the board who has participated in the present excommunication committee, and I was not allowed to voice a word. And this has basically happened on other occasions. I know a rabbi who is notorious for saying, "Don't confuse me with the facts." And I respect that, but not when it comes to indoctrinating others. So through this letter, I am sending an open call to rabbis who wish to give me shiurim. I have asked the rabbi who excommunicated me if he could come to my house and give me a weekly shiur, as I told him that being banned from the shul is one thing, but I don't want to be disconnected from the community altogether. I have yet to hear his response. The last I heard from him, he said that he will only talk to me when I talk his common sense. I would also like to call upon Jews and other people around the world to voice their opinion, as God has made it possible in this day and age to sign a petition in effort to revoke this excommunication and voice an opinion. This, of course, was done in biblical times with Yonatan, the son of Shaul, when the people said, "Chalile chai Hashem im ipol misarot rosho arza." Far from it, as Hashem liveth, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground. Samuel 1, chapter 14, verse 45. However, this is a bit difficult since I am bold. Nevertheless, I urge you to review the petition and not let the decision take its effect. Decision makers are not permitted to make decisions in Judaism if biased. The decision was made by a few biased decision makers who are not even rabbis, and decided if one is considered to be eligible for prayer. Next thing, they might condemn me as a ben tzorer umoreh, a stubborn and rebellious son. Perhaps it is lucky that I was orphaned before my bar mitzvah and raised by a disabled widowed mother, so for that not to happen, given the Jewish law exempting such a child for being as such. But eliminating tradition is nothing new in the Shul of the Hague. As precious and beautiful the Dutch Nusach tradition is, and even given that the shul is officially a Dutch traditional Orthodox shul, the Chabad rabbi, who has been appointed by the Dutch community, conducts the services in the Chabad manner and the Nusach of the Hari HaKadosh, even though that the Dutch tradition has been passed on for hundreds of years, surviving even the Holocaust, only to be mutilated and nullified in recent times, due acts of missionary work as I see it. As Rashi notes in Shoftim, that we must first go to our own Jewish courts, the Bet Din, my Jewish lawyer has approached the Dutch Bet Din and also the European one. Both have unfortunately rejected my case of slander, a slander which has caused a liberal shul to ban me in The Hague, and as noted before, a talk of a complete ban and expulsion from all Jewish synagogues, schools and institutions in the Netherlands, making it difficult for me to meet a shidduch, get married and buried in the Netherlands. Therefore, I request from the relevant individuals among the decision makers of Dutch Jewry and their counterparts, the Bet Din judges and the Dutch rabbis, who as noted not a single one has contacted me on the matter, to exempt from their morning prayer the mention of personal reflections on the text in the prayer and bringing peace between a fellow man and his friend. Iyun tefillah ve'avat shalom ben adam lechavero. Dear Dutch Jewry, Is it not enough that I get cursed on the way to Shul for being a cancerous Jew? Dayenu. Is it not enough that a person tried to run me over with a scooter for being Jewish on the way to the market to buy groceries lichvod Shabbat Kodesh, and practically no one from the Dutch community voiced their care or concern towards me? Dayenu. Is it not enough that I try to organize an anti-Semitism kippah walk and the police don't let me? Dayenu. Is it not enough that a notorious anti-Semite wrote a whole article about me? Dayenu. Is it not enough that I've been engaging in dialogue with Muslims and Christians for weeks and approached the Shul with the same individuals that have helped me and all get rejected from Shul? Dayenu. Is it not enough that I get an anonymous letter in the post saying cancerous Jew and the police say that it is nothing? Dayenu. Is it not enough that the police and the town hall don't want to authorize me to build a sukkah? Dayenu. Is it not enough to be excommunicated from all the Orthodox Jewish community in The Hague? Dayenu. Is it not enough to be excommunicated from the Liberal community in The Hague? Dayenu. Is it not enough to be considered for banishment from all Dutch Jewry in the Netherlands, meaning that I will have a problem to meet a shidduch, get married and buried in the Holland? Dayenu. Might I add that the Second Temple was not destroyed by the Romans, but from sinat chinam, baseless hatred. In any case, I forgive your actions and consider them to be bishgaga, inadvertent, and I ask forgiveness for whatever harm or anguish you may feel that I have caused you, and I wish to engage in talk with you. I am not looking to win anything, as we should always take example from God, who prefers to be defeated rather than prevail, with the Havai lemenatzeach lemishu mevakesh lehinatzach concept, saying that victorious is he who is defeated, such as, was God really the winner by causing the flood, seeing his creation destructed, or was this destruction his defeat? It is the menutzach, defeated, that is mistaker, rewarded. With this, I wish to say that may all be written in the book of life, Shana Tova and Gomar Chatima Tova. ואם עשיתם תשובה לפני בלב שלם, אני אקבל אתכם ואדון אתכם לכף זכות, ששערי שמיים פתוחין ואשמע תפילתכם, שאני משגיח מן החלונות, מציץ מן החרכים, עד שלא אחתום גזר דין ביום הכיפורים. תנחומה, האזינו סימן ד'. Banning a Jew from a Yom Kippur service doesn't sound very Jewish to me. It is a day when even convicted criminals and prisoners are allowed in. But I, for one, have nowhere to attend a service for Yom Kippur, except, unfortunately, for one small brave and wishes to stay anonymous shul that is not from either stream and in another city. I am glad to say that I feel that this shul has extended and showed to me what a true warm Jewish heart is.